All right, everybody, welcome back to Trek Epidemic. We got another Lower Decks episode for you. I'm Buck Hollywood LeDuc, joined by, as always, my good friend Jordan J. Hardner. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. How are you?
Pretty good. I just had one of those ghost pepper sandwiches from McDonald's, so my mouth is a little bit tingly, but not that much because it is just like a shitty store brand spice. You know a lot about spice, Craig. We're also joined by Craig.
There's a ghost pepper sandwich at McDonald's?
Yeah, there is here in Canada. I don't know. I don't know if it's
Oh,
down in the States at this time, but they have
no.
like the spicy pepper challenge. They've got like a ghost pepper one, a Scotch bonnet one, and habanero one or something.
Damn, why does Canada get all the cool stuff?
Damn, son.
I
So
mean,
we've got another episode here
I
today.
Challenge 2020. That was spicy.
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a minute. I saw you were doing the ghost one chip challenge there.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for it this year. I mean, I don't know what it was last year. I was like, I just bossed it. I was like, oh, this is no problem.
Yeah, I
And this
remember
year I
last
took it and I
year.
was like, oh no, this is way too spicy.
You are a bit out of spice practice, though. Do you think that contributed to it?
Oh, probably.
Yeah,
It's been a while. So
Absolutely. That's some fantastic stuff. And if you want to see more great content like that, head on over to twitch.tv/Craig. And you've dabbled in the spice before, but if that new one is spicy to you, then I believe it is spicy because you are the
yeah,
spice king.
it was pretty good. I ordered 10 more as well. So.
Nice. You eat anything spicy lately, Jordan?
I just had a sandwich with a lot of like jalapenos and banana peppers on it.
Wow, this is a spicy group we've got here. Today on the show, we're talking about Moist Vessel, episode 4 of Lower Decks. All right, so this one I don't think was as bad as the episode we watched last week, but still not great. It's a heavy Mariner episode, so I'm sure Craig didn't like it very much.
Yeah, I'm just looking at my notes already.
I
Big
didn't
mouth.
read the title of the episode when it showed on screen, and the fact that it's called Moist Vessel is really gross.
Moist Vessel, that's the episode name. So this one we've got the ship teaming up with Durango and his team, and they're carrying a mummified ship called the Generation Ship that has some terraforming material on it. And essentially, Mariner was like disrespectful during the briefing where she was yawning a lot, and they're like, "We got to get her off this ship," but they don't want to get rid of her, so they're trying to make her quit. That's essentially the point of this one.
Yeah, right here I wrote in my notes, Mariner once again obnoxious and makes me want to shut it off in the first few minutes. Why is she written to be so obnoxious and unlikable? She's not funny.
I wrote, "Why is Mariner ever allowed near people? Like, why would you have her in a briefing room or around like people who aren't part of the crew or like diplomats? She's obviously going to do something fucked up. Like, you could just leave her doing tests in the bowels of the ship."
That is a good
Yeah.
point. Um, it is like there is no real reason to have her specifically interacting with people you know she's gonna fuck with. So this one, they basically send her on a bunch of shitty tasks. Like I think she literally did have to clean up shit at one point.
Yeah, the holodeck waste removal.
Holodeck.
I thought that was, not necessarily shit, but
It's probably come.
yeah, that's exactly. I wrote insert semen joke here in my
right,
notes.
because it's a holodeck, so they're probably doing a lot of fucking in there.
Yeah, I was like, wow, they actually made a reference to that. I'm impressed.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think this show does okay with holodeck stuff sometimes. Just because it's a fucking cartoon and you can do whatever you want. Uh, this specific episode, again, there's not that much going on. I do think it gets better as the episode goes on. She ends up enjoying the tasks so much that they're like, there's only one thing that could possibly make her quit, and that's make her a lieutenant, so she has to attend meetings.
Yeah, and then they basically strong arm her into going all these stupid meetings about picking. What was it? It was something stupid.
Chairs,
like
I think.
Carpet yeah, chairs or carpet or something like that, and just boring as hell. And she's just sitting there all, oh, this sucks. getting all tired and just not wanting to be there. It's a lot like me watching the show, you know?
Absolutely.
Did you gain some sympathy for Mariner, like some sort of relationship?
No, it was like, good, you deserve this. You deserve this.
Absolutely.
See, that's bad when you have your main character going through something like that, and if you want to have like, oh, I feel bad for her, it's like trying to build sympathy, and your audience is like, nope, I'm glad this is happening. Screw that. Screw
Craig's
her.
on the side of the captain and Jack Ransom. He wants Mariner to quit.
Yeah, I think we all do. If she wasn't written to be so unlikable and just so obnoxious, I don't think I've ever watched anything where I disliked a main character more than I dislike her. And it's just I wish that they would turn it around, because I do want to like some of the new Star Trek, but I just can't.
Yeah, and I thought for sure out of like all of the new Star Trek shows, this would be the one that might get me a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I thought this was like, all right. I was like, this one I'm gonna give a fair shake. I mean, the first trailer for it looked really obnoxious, and I didn't like Mariner in that either. I was like, ugh, why? I was like, this is just. I was like, I'll give it a chance. And how many episodes? This is like the 4th episode in, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not feeling this.
That is true. You have given it quite a bit good chance at this point.
I've given it more of a chance than I've given Discovery.
That is true. That is true.
And I gave Picard a chance, and I'm just, yeah, I don't know. Star Trek's dead, man.
Craig's so sad. We should change the podcast name to the Sad Craig Hour.
Just pushing deeper and deeper into depression.
Yeah, exactly. It's just me mourning over Star Trek for like an hour.
Every week, Craig is less audible because he's so sad.
Yeah, you can just hear the depression in my voice every week get worse and worse and worse.
What did you think of this episode, Jordan?
I think one of the things with this episode is this is one of the times we talked a little bit last episode how like hopefully Mariner was going to change and grow, and this was one of the episodes where they kind of teed it up like maybe she could be better, like maybe she could accept a certain amount of responsibility on the ship or whatever, and just do anything, maybe just change a little bit, and then just nothing comes of it in the end. It's just all
Absolutely.
reset.
That is so funny. That's exactly what I was thinking when I was watching this episode. I'm like, oh, they had the chance to actually give her even just the tiniest little bit of character development, and they're like, poo to that. We don't need that at all.
No, that would ruin her character.
Now, there is another thing that happens in this episode that I actually thought was kind of interesting. When Durango, he starts fucking with the ship and busts open the hull of terraforming ship, and then the ships start to terraform. I thought visually that's kind of a cool idea, seeing the ships like start to terraform.
Also, to me, felt like a very like kind of Star Trekky issue or difficulty to face. Like it felt like you could actually see something like that happening. Not necessarily the way that it came about that the ship started terraforming with like the other ship getting jealous or whatever, but like having some sort of liquid that's transforming your ship into all this random stuff and then having to resolve that situation felt kind of like pretty solid for that first Star Trek plot.
Yeah, absolutely.
I could agree with that.
I did like just kind of the visual of the ship turning into like a planet type thing. That's kind of fun. Them like crawling down the elevator shafts and whatnot. Even though the entire time it is mostly Mariner and her mother being annoying.
Yeah, pretty much. And then they were forced to work together.
Yeah, and then I kind of did like the other plot where Tendi was like trying to make that guy ascend into chi oneness or whatever, and then at the end he like turns into a ball of energy.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that part.
I did like that whole process was supposedly extremely painful. You just
Yeah.
watch him scream for like a minute straight.
That was the one part that like made me laugh, and I'm like, oh, this is like a Family Guy joke. He's like yelling for so long.
I like how he said though that it was all bullshit and he just wanted to stand out and be cool and blah blah blah. He's like, oh, it wasn't even real. I was just trying to stand out and I wanted to be cool. I'm not gonna ascend, and then he actually does ascend, and yeah, it's super painful.
Yeah, it's and I think like it's weird that this is like an animated show, and so often like they don't do anything cool with the animation. But I think a couple times in this episode they actually do manage to make it look kind of interesting.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I do agree. Watching the ship get terraformed and all that kind of stuff was cool, and then the ascending was pretty cool as well.
Yeah,
Or
again
cool
though,
looking, I mean.
it's not that good of an episode, and I do wonder if it comes down to the episodes are so short and like they can't really get like an actual plot in these. It seems.
Yeah, I feel like they move kind of quick, and there's just so much going on so quick. It's kind of like you get overloaded, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. This is going on. Okay, now that's going on. Okay, what else is gonna go on?
Hey Jordan, I think maybe you can help me with this because there's like a lot of great animated shows that that do a lot of stuff in 22 minutes. So I think it does come down to their writing, and maybe it's because they're. I think you mentioned this in a previous episode. They're just like writing too much stuff, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like with kind of how they're trying to fill out so much of this A plot and so much of this B plot and have so much happening and have it have a full sort of narrative arc that you would expect from a non-comedy show. I also think it really messes with the comedic timing. Not that all of the jokes are great, regardless of where the timing is, but when you're trying to rush along this plot so fast, obviously jokes can't land very well.
Yeah,
But
the quick fire format does like feel like I just feel so rushed every time I'm watching this show. I'm like, well, we could have fleshed that out a little bit more. I think they should maybe just try and do like 2-parter episodes or something, you know?
yeah, definitely. I think then you would also have a little bit. You could potentially have scenes that just aren't constantly pushing towards some joke as well, because I do think that's another issue with the show where every single scene seems like it's just building up towards some sort of wacky, zany, silly joke, and you don't really get any sort of more. You don't get many, at least, more relaxed moments to sort of contrast that.
Yeah, all right. So that's pretty much this episode. Craig, you got anything else on this one?
Yeah, let me check my notes here. I like how at the end of my notes I say ship gets saved, Captain and Mariner work together, but it gets ruined when she acts like an asshole again.
Yep, that's
again,
the ending.
It was that character. Like she could have grew as a character and became a slightly better character, but they're like, nah. No, I can't have that happen.
That is extremely perplexing to me. That like this is set like if this was a real show, she probably would have learned a little bit something from that, but this show is absolutely not interested in changing this character at all.
I'm wondering if it's like saving it for the season finale or something. Like they're going to do something
but that's
sort of
like this
bigger
is a show.
Yeah, when this show gets canceled, they're gonna be like, "Oh, but next season she was gonna grow. Can we have another season, please? She was finally gonna become likable."
Well, that's what it seems like, though. Is like they're because the characters and stuff are staying relatively stagnated. It almost seems like they're expecting this to have a relatively long life, and that they're sort of trying to set up the series pacing that way, and that's probably very ambitious of them.
Yeah, a little too ambitious.
All right. Well, Jordan, why don't you start us off with the ratings here? What do you give this one?
I'd probably give it a 2 for the goo.
Hell yeah, I think a 2 is fair enough. I'll give this one a 2. What do you got there, Craig?
I give this one a 1.
Another 1. You're a classic 1-star man on this, Craig. So yeah. I appreciate that. But maybe next week it'll get better. I guess you guys can find out if you tune in then. If you got any comments about this episode or any episode, leave it in the comments below. I'll read it next episode if there's any comments. Follow me on Twitter at Movie Epidemic or Instagram, Facebook, all those things. Don't forget to subscribe. We just hit 100 subscribers on the channel here. Appreciate that from everybody. And you can go find Craig over on twitch.tv/Craig or find him at Craig on Twitter. I guess that's it for today. I'll see you guys next week.
Why don't you play us something, baby? Why don't you play us something, baby?
Start? I don't feel so good.